Hey, sports fans, what's going on? So, after the lackluster NBA All Star game, not the weekend, just the game itself, we're now into the second half of the NBA season. But I feel like the NBA is in a perfect situation to kind of, I guess, wash the bad taste of the All Star game out of everybody's mouth with an intriguing second half. So, I do think there are some storylines to look forward to in terms of the second half of the season that I feel like will capture the NBA fans' attention and create an intriguing end of the season sprint as most teams have for like 23 to 25 games left in their schedule. So I'm gonna run through some of them. I believe I have 8 storylines to watch out for. Of course, after you watch this, let me know down in the comments whether there's a storyline that you feel I may have missed, or give your opinions on the storylines that I will bring forth to you here in a second. Of course, you know what to do. Hit the like button, subscribe, share as well, and leave a comment. Like I said before, let me know what you like on the channel, what you'd like for me to add to the channel. I'm definitely open to opinions. So let's go ahead, get into these storylines, and see just how intriguing the NBA season is about to get. So first off, looking at the Suns, Clippers, and the Mavericks. Right now, those are the fourth, fifth, and sixth place teams in the West. Each of those teams made high profile acquisitions, not necessarily talent wise for all the teams, but at least in terms of name recognition, each one of those teams made a move. Phoenix getting Kevin Durant, the Clippers getting Russell Westbrook in the buyout market, the Mavericks, of course, getting Kyrie Irving. So where do these teams end up? As we know, the West, it does kind of seem like the Nuggets have been probably the most consistent team in the West. The Nuggets hold a 5-game lead over the Grizzlies. They're in this 3 games behind the Grizzlies, so 8 behind the Nuggets or the Kings. The Clippers are 9 behind the Nuggets. Suns are 9.5. The Mavericks are 10.5 behind the Nuggets for first in the West. All intents and purposes, I don't know if either one of these teams could really catch the Nuggets in terms of being the number 1 seed, but they're separated by what? 4? 5.5 for the Mavericks. So they're both within. All 3 of them are within 5.5 games of the Grizzlies, who are second in the West. Is that too much room to make up? Maybe. But could one of these teams jump up to third, where the Kings are currently located, who I'll talk about in a little bit? But it'll be interesting to see, because each team, there are some, I guess, there's like a best case, worst case scenario with each team. With the Suns, we have to see Durant, who is injured. Once he comes back, will that group have enough time to gel together in order to play at their best heading into the playoffs? With the Clippers, we've heard, or at least there's the report, that Ty Lue's basically told Russell Westbrook that he's gonna run point. The ball will be in his hands. Now, does that, I guess, kind of trust in him make him play better than he did with his Lakers tenure? Was it just something where he just wanted the team to show some faith in him? I don't know. But we'll have to see. What does, Westbrook, Kawhi, Paul George, what does that look like on the court? For the Mavericks, Luka, Kyrie, when the trade was made, the question was, could those two coexist? Well, there's going to be more of a spotlight on those two now. Like I said, as we get into the sprint part of the NBA season, try to get better positioning, because with them at 6th, they're the last team that would be in the traditional playoff right now, avoiding the play-in. But right behind them, The Pelicans, the Timberwolves are only a half game back. The Warriors are only a game behind the Mavericks. The Thunder, only a game and a half, were your four play-in teams right now. So if it doesn't work, we could see the Mavericks be a play-in team. But if the two of them play well over these last few weeks of the season, could the Mavericks possibly be third in the West or something? So I feel like a lot of people will be watching these three teams to see how far they're able to move up. Do they stay where they are, or do they ultimately fall a little bit in the standings? Next storyline for me would be the East, the top seed. It seems to me the Celtics or Bucks will probably win the East number one seed. But can a team outside of those two make a run and leapfrog both of them? If you look at the standings, there's the Bucks are a half game behind the Celtics. Then it's a little bit of a drop to the Sixers, who are 3 back. Sixers are a team we've seen have pretty good regular seasons. Of course, their pressure will come in the playoffs to perform, but they're having a really good season right now. Can they possibly win the East? Then you have a little bit of drop again to the Cavs, who are 5 back. So that's probably where it'd stop, because after you get Brooklyn, the Knicks, Heat, Hawks, those type of teams. Now, I fully believe Celtics or the Bucks win the 1 seed. I don't know if I see Philly being 3 games. Well, I guess it would have to be 4 games better than either one of them to win the 1 seed, or for Cleveland to be 6 games better. But is it possible? Of course. The Bucks are on a 12-game winning streak right now, but we saw Giannis couldn't really perform at the All-Star game because of a wrist injury. Will that affect him going forward this year? Because it's something he may not be able to address until the offseason. For the Celtics, Jaylen Brown looks like he's coming back into the lineup. I mean, he played in the All-Star game. But, you never know. If they hit a little bit of a snag here, can either the Sixers or Cavaliers take advantage and make a move on them? Next storyline, the Hawks, who are in 8th right now. Over the weekend, they dismissed Nate McMillan. We've heard that Quinn Snyder is a candidate. Seems like there's reports that Ime Udoka could be a candidate. So I'm interested to see who they bring in. Is it something that they wait until the end of the season to do and kind of just go with, I think it's like Jim Prunty, who's the interim coach right now? Do they just let him finish out the season, then go through with a coaching hire in the offseason? If there's already names out there for candidates, I'm assuming they're trying to bring in a coach now. And if they do, will that coach be able to implement a system, get the Hawks team playing better, get them to the top 6? I don't know. The Hawks, I've said many times, McMillan was not the problem. I still believe they have a Trae Young issue. So the next coach that they hire is going to have to get on the same page with Trae Young. Find a way to get the Trae Young, DeJounte Murray pairing to play better, because it seems to work well with Young on the ball, Murray off the ball. But when Murray's on the ball, Young doesn't seem to be as effective off the ball than he is when he's on the ball, which I think is a problem, because Murray, I feel like, is a more dynamic playmaker than Trae Young because of his, height, length, his ability to get to the hoop. And as a bigger, taller guy, he's able to finish at the rim better than Trae Young. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see who they give that job to. I do find it interesting that Udoka's name has popped up. It's kind of seemed like Trae Young's clashed heads with defensive-minded, tough-minded coaches, which I guess Pierce, I think, was was supposed to be that. McMillan, we knows that type of coach. from what we saw last season, Udoka is a coach that is pretty hard nosed. So if they were to hire him, would that create an issue between he and Trae Young? I mentioned this team before, the Kings. They're 32-25. They're third in the West. I got to give Mike Brown and that group a lot of credit. I did not see the Kings being this good this late into the season. They definitely have talent on that group. I mean, on that team. I just didn't know if this season was the year for it because it was Mike Brown's first year. Didn't really know what to expect from Mike Brown coaching this team. Because Mike Brown had some success at the Cavs with LeBron, but it seems like LeBron got way more of the credit for that than Mike Brown did. Mike Brown was an assistant with the Warriors under Steve Kerr, and it seems like he has this team in the right direction. But now it's different. After the All-Star break, the pressure for the Kings to perform well enough to stay up there when you have some powerhouse teams coming from below in terms of Phoenix, Clippers, Mavericks. Can they hold those teams off? If not all of them, enough of those teams to stay in the top six. I feel like no matter how the Kings end up finishing this season, I think it's been a great success. It's a great move in the right direction going into next year. They have De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis as all-stars this year. So this Kings team might finally be building something to give Kings fans some optimism. Next storyline is about the Brooklyn Nets. They've completely reshaped their team. I mean, just looking a year ago, no KD, no Kyrie, no Harden. Simmons seems like he's kind of just there at this point. Jacques Vaughn has come out and said that he's going to trim the rotation. Certain guys will be kind of on the outside looking in. If I read it correctly, I believe Ben Simmons is a guy that Jacques Vaughn is looking to kind of push towards the bottom of the rotation, if not completely out of it. So you can basically say minus Ben Simmons as well. They're 10 games over 500. They're fifth in the East. They are currently, I believe, they're 2 games up on the Knicks. They're 2.5 ahead of the Heat. I mean, they're 5.5 ahead of the Hawks, so I won't really talk about that. But can the Nets hold off the Knicks and the Heat and stay in the top 6 with a group that I feel like has some talent on it, which is why Jacques Vaughn needs to trim the rotation. Seems like they're going to go towards a Mikal Bridges-led team. Have everybody else playing off of him. Now, is it good enough in the East to be top 6? I think there is enough talent there. Now, we know that at some point in the second half, we'll probably see a run from the Heat who are in 7th. I guess you'll have to say whether or not the Knicks can. I mean, the Knicks have been kind of up and down this year. They started off the year kind of top 6. Middle portion they were playing. Now they're back in the top 6. So can they stay there? Or do they have another dip, I guess, in them this season? But it'll be interesting to see if Brooklyn can hold on to a top 6 team. Because like I said, are they a threat to win the East? No. Could they give some teams ahead of them some trouble in a playoff series if they were to meet? I think they possibly could, because they'll be going at it with a more of a depth approach instead of the past couple of seasons where it was KD, Kyrie, and just a cast of characters. Now you have some guys who can ball. They may not have a necessary alpha guy on the team, but they have a lot of, B players in this group. If they can find some cohesion, have a legit pecking order, and everybody fills their role, Brooklyn could win a first round series. Why not? It'll definitely depend on who they get matched up against, of course, but I'm not mad at what Brooklyn's doing. I do want to see going forward are they forced to probably make some other moves to trim the roster a little bit? Because, like I said, they have a lot of guys who have some talent. And like Jock Vaughn, like I said earlier, seems like somebody, two of these guys, maybe three, may not necessarily be happy with what their role is going to be going forward because of what they brought in from the KD, from the Kyrie trades. So we'll have to see what Jock Vaughn could do with this group to see if they can stay in the top 6. Zion Williamson, the biggest tease in the NBA. He's out. He's been out since January. I believe the report was he kind of tweaked his hamstring in rehab and will be out for a few more weeks. The Pelicans are sitting outside of the top 6 right now, and I believe they're 7th. As I mentioned, they're a half game behind the Mavericks. But if you remember early in the season when Zion was playing, this team was a legit top 4 seed in the West. If they could tread water, find a way to get Zion onto the court before the season ends, could they recapture that magic, make a move back to a possible top 4 seed? I think all things considered, Pelicans team's a talented group. It's just that Zion is such a big part of it, and Zion just seemingly cannot stay healthy. But is this tweaked hamstring, will it ultimately cost Zion the rest of the season? And with that, kind of sinking any hopes the Pelicans really had of doing anything this year. Plus, if Zion were to miss significant time once again, which I believe I saw a stat somewhere that Zion has missed 60% of the games that he's eligible for since he's been drafted. That percentage has to come way down if you're a Pelicans fan and you want to have some thoughts of champions. You want to have some championship aspirations. You can't have Zion missing more than half of the games year in, year out. That just can't happen. So can Zion find a way to get back this year, help this Pelicans team that has some talent, and in the West that you could say is kind of wide open, maybe not so much now that Denver's kind of pulled away. Phoenix, a lot is expected of them now with KD joining Chris Paul, Devin Booker. The Clippers, who a lot of people feel like when they're healthy, they may be the best team in the West. So it's interesting to see what the Pelicans kind of do and if Zion can get back on the court. The Lakers, 27-32, they're 13th in the West. They've made some changes to the roster. They've brought in some, I guess, more capable rotation players. But will that mean anything in terms of the standings? Like I said, they're 13th. I mean, Lakers fans will let you know that they're only 2 games out from 10th. Which, I mean, isn't a lot, but they still have to find a way to jump over Portland, Utah, which, I mean, Utah wasn't expected to be in this position, but can they jump over Portland, then have a team out of the Thunder, Warriors, T-Wolves, Pelicans fall back and fall out of the play-in to get them there? If there are Laker fans who tune into this, do any of you see the Lakers making some monumental jump up to the top 6? Which, if they did, you'd have to tell me between the Nuggets, Grizzlies, King, Clippers, Suns, Mavericks, who falls out. I'm sure most Lakers fans would probably look at the Kings. The Kings are 6 games better right now. Could the Lakers make up that kind of deficit after they played, what have they played? 59 games, so they have 23 left to go. That's a lot to ask. So, Laker fans will feel optimistic going into the second half of this year, in quotes, because like I said, it's only 23 games left. What kind of record do the Lakers need to have just to make the play-in? Do they need to go Can they go like 13-10 and make the play-in? Do they have to go 14-9? What record do they have to kind of accomplish? And for a team that's been under 500 pretty much all season, should we expect them to now all of a sudden play, 5-6 games over 500? Of course, a lot is going to be on AD's health, LeBron's health. Can those two stay healthy for this stretch run? I feel like if those two miss any significant amount of these 23 games, I fully believe the Lakers miss not only reaching the top 6, but miss the play-in. I gotta be honest with you. So we'll see. We will see if this new group hits the ground running after this All-Star break. Then maybe they can catch the Thunder, catch the Jazz, catch Portland, get in 9-10 seed, go through the play-in, and see if they finish 7th or 8th once the playoffs come around to get Denver, Memphis, Phoenix in the first round. But we'll see. I feel like the first few games out of the All-Star break will be important because at this point, the Lakers can't start off dropping games. That can't happen, to be honest with you. So they're going to have to, like I said, hit the ground running, string together a few wins coming out of the All-Star break, get the group feeling good about themselves, and kind of see where everything shakes out at the end of the regular season. Final storyline for me, the Warriors. They're 29-29, 9th in the West. Steph Curry is still out, but it seems like he's coming back pretty soon. So have the Warriors done enough to kind of hang around that once Curry comes back, they'll be able to make a move to the top 6? Because for me, I know a lot of people are worried about the Warriors and, they're just a 500 team. There's something missing, all that. Yeah, Steph Curry. I also think if the Warriors make the top 6, they'll be fine. If they can go into the playoffs healthy, they're the defending champions. You're going to have to respect them in the West. If they're a play-in team, with the play-in being somewhat a battle of attrition and a little bit of luck, because if you finish, 7 or 8, well, if you're 7th, you just have to win the first play-in game you're in. You're 8th, you get 2 opportunities. If you're 9th or 10th, it's kind of an uphill battle where you possibly are playing 2 road games to get in. So once again, we'll see. We will see what happens here. But like I said, those were just 8 storylines that I came up with that I feel like will be intriguing for the NBA. Trust me, there's actually other storylines I could have thrown in here, but I wanted to keep it at 8. So, let me know what you think about each one of these. How do you feel about Lakers' chances of making top 6, the play-in? What's most likely for them? Who wins the East? Like I said, just as I went through these, let me know your opinion down in the comment section. I will reply back to you. Have a little back and forth down there. But really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, as I said at the beginning of the episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, share, drop a comment. Whatever you feel like doing, it really helps out. Appreciate it. But as I always say at the end of the episode, be safe out there. God bless. And I'll catch you in the next episode. All right? Have a good one.